Hello everybody, welcome to Meteorologist Without Credentials, where we try to forecast storms like a meteorologist, only I don't have credentials. So, by the time you watch this, if you're watching this now, but most of you that see this, if anyone does, is going to see this after it is finished and uploaded. But by the time you watch this video, any forecasts that are made have likely changed, or I'm going to say rather that they have changed. So it is very important that you check for yourself what the information is. Check with the professionals. I am not a professional meteorologist without credentials. I have no formal education or degree in this field of study. So any information I provide should be confirmed by personal research and confirmation by professionals. So go to the Weather Channel or some official source where the people have degrees and they could give you more accurate information. I specialize in tropical systems such as hurricanes and typhoons and tropical cyclones. So that is what we will be forecasting. So all of this is just as a disclaimer. The websites that I'm using, obviously I'm live streaming via YouTube. For this screenshot that you're seeing here, this feed is the earth.nullschool.net, and the other website that I'm using is tropicaltidbits.com. This is the wind speed. This is the wind around the globe, what the wind is looking like in different areas. So over here is stronger wind, over here is milder wind. So the first thing I'm going to do before I get into forecasting is I'm going to look at the system that we currently have, which is Tropical Storm Carlos. Oh, yeah, that was my live stream from my phone, so that way I could see your comments and see if anyone is watching. Right now no one is, but maybe you'll be watching this after it is posted. If anyone is watching and it's not coming up, please leave a comment so that way I could see you. So over here is Tropical Storm Carlos. It's off the coast of Madagascar by quite a distance. This storm currently, let's take a look at the wind speeds around here. Let's change this to miles per hour. So over here 40 miles an hour, 34 miles per hour, 36 miles per hour, 41 miles per hour. So tropical storm, weak tropical storm, or tropical depression is what's over here. Let's take a closer look at it. So yeah, this is Tropical Storm Carlos. It is not going to interfere with land. It's going to continue down this way and in this direction, which I'll show you on when we do the forecasting for this area later. One thing that should be noted with the forecast, they will be much more accurate in the beginning of the forecast with the first few days. But going on into the latter part of the forecast, as we go along in the timeline of these projected systems, the forecast that's likely the part that will change and that will be inaccurate. That's just how it works. The models are more accurate in the beginning, less accurate at the end. But this is current right now, so this is what the storm looks like right now. It did impact these two islands right over here. So let me see. I'll check on my phone what the alright, no one comments yet. I'll check on my phone Google Maps to see what those islands are called. My pronunciation is probably going to be absolutely terrible, but oh no, they're pretty easy. Reunion and Mauritius Islands are the islands that those two are right over here. Those two were impacted by the storm as I believe a tropical storm. I don't believe, maybe this island, maybe category 1, but I think it was a tropical storm for this area that was impacted. As far as what the exact impacts were over there, I'm not sure. For that, check with an official source. I'm sure you'll be able to find something on the news or anything. If it had any impact at all, it may have just been like, oh, another rainy day. But nevertheless, that's the only active tropical cyclone right now. There's not really much else. There are some low pressures over here, but they're not tropical cyclones. Low pressure. Nothing in the Atlantic Basin currently. Nothing in the North Pacific currently. Nothing in the Southwest Pacific currently. Nothing, well, yeah, one thing in the Indian Ocean, Tropical Storm Carlos, but that's not going to impact land, so nothing impacting land as of right now, and nothing in this basin right now. Okay, so those are the tropical storms that are currently active. Let's leave this and go to this site now. Going to go to forecast models. This is the GFS model. This is the model that we'll be using today. Let's go first to the North Atlantic to see if there's going to be anything in the coming week or so. Let's check this one right here. This shows rotation in the atmosphere. This is the important one because with hurricanes, tropical cyclones, there are giant rotating storms. So we would be able to pick them up on a model that forecasts the rotation in the atmosphere, or at least could give us an idea of where to look for such a storm. So we're going to play the model and see if we can see anything that would be a tropical cyclone. If you have seen my updates already today that I've posted, you already know what the model is going to show, but as I said in the forecast that I posted, the forecasts are always changing, so we'll see if there's anything different now. Okay, so it doesn't seem that there's any tropical cyclones. I'm just going to speed this up to go through it one more time, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, yeah, so nothing over here. There's a rotation up here, but the water's way too cold for a tropical cyclone. It's just a low pressure system, and it's not condensed enough to be a purely tropical cyclone anyway. So nothing in the Atlantic. So let's check now the Western Pacific. Let's see here. Go to 00. That's where we're at. Oh, and don't worry about the ads over here. I can't do anything about that. We're just gonna have to ignore it. Okay, so let's see if there's anything for the Western Pacific Ocean. That would be Japan, China, Korea, Philippines, Vietnam area. Let's see, is there anything? Okay, yeah, I'm not seeing anything. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. So do one more run through, make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, yep, as I said before, nothing there. Let's check the Central Pacific Ocean for any sign of rotation of a tropical cyclone or anything like that. Let's see what we can find. So Hawaii is over here. Right over here. A lot of low pressures to the north, but the water is way too cold for tropical cyclones. Actually, one thing you can tell with these rotations, they are low pressure systems. You could tell systems that are going to be coming to the United States and causing rain and snow or anything like that, because they all come from this direction and travel this way. So if you see a low pressure coming this way, then probably there's going to be rain associated in this area with those systems. Okay, so nothing in the Central Pacific. Let's check the Eastern Pacific. So this is by California and Mexico and Central America. areas that we're going to be checking now. So far, not seeing anything. Okay, so I didn't see anything. I'm going to speed this up a little bit just to go through one more time, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, so nothing in the Eastern Pacific. So the Pacific Ocean, North Pacific, seems clear for the next 2 weeks. Again, as a disclaimer, I'm not a professional meteorologist, so if your area has a warning for a system, but I'm not seeing it on here, you should follow that warning. Or if I'm issuing some sort of advisory to say, this area should keep a lookout, but the officials are saying, oh, it's not going to be anything, listen to the officials. They are the ones with the degrees in this field of study. And also, not only that, but the forecast can change at any time. So perhaps there's something being forecast now. By tomorrow morning, it's no longer being forecasted. Maybe there is nothing being forecasted now, but by tomorrow morning, it's forecasting a Category 5 hurricane. So it's always good to keep checking this regularly to ensure that nothing new has developed that has missed our attention. So here is the Indian Ocean. Here's India, Africa over here, Middle East area, Australia. So this is Tropical Storm Carlos over here. So in this forecast, we'll be able to see, this isn't my forecast, by the way, this is the GFS. We're just looking at what we see. So this is Tropical Storm Carlos. Its rotation is starting to die out a little bit from what it was before. If I go back, so you can see it wasn't really much there. Much more condensed there as it was a Category 1 hurricane. But as we are right now, it's starting its weakening trend again, and we'll be able to see what is predicted in terms of Carlos. Okay, so it gets a little bigger, broader, maybe gain some strength to it. We'll be looking at wind speeds in a minute too, and then goes away. Now this system we definitely need to keep a watch on in the Mozambique channel, Madagascar, Mozambique. Those areas you need to keep watch. Also over here, you may have noticed a little something there. We're going to take a look at that in a minute at wind speeds. So we do have some systems over here that we need to take a look at. As I said before, the forecast in the beginning of this timeline is going to be more accurate than towards the end. So the system towards Mozambique channel, I'm going to say, is more likely to occur than the one by Australia, because the one by Western Australia is later in the forecast timeline. So that forecast is more likely to change over time. But I'm not discrediting the system that is forecasting. There could be a system. But for now, let's take a look at the forecasted wind speeds in these areas. Bring it back to 00. Current time. So we could see. So this is a tropical storm. Force wind. So it doesn't look like it's going to become a hurricane again. This also, tropical storm force winds. One thing with this, it doesn't show when it goes on land, when a storm goes on land, it's sort of the wind, you don't really see it anymore. Let me go to this model, and this one. This one will show us when it goes on land, the wind on land, and you can see the wind direction as well. So there we have that system as a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane, but probably tropical storm. This is a tropical storm going in there. So you see what I mean? You can see here that there is a tropical storm force system. Let me go back. So tropical storm force system, usually 1,000 millibars, that's tropical storm. 999 millibars, that's tropical storm. Usually when you get around 990 is when it's a Category 1 hurricane. 980 is a Category 2, and so on. Let me get get the actual millibars on the categories. See, this is why I'm a meteorologist without credentials, because I have no credentials and need to check these things. Just checking what I see on here. So, hurricane categories. So on Google, Saffir-Simpson scale. So in millibars, let's see. Okay, so this isn't showing millibars. Gotta go to the nhc.noaa.gov website. Let's see, does this show it? No. Okay, so let me see, where can I find it? Oh. Let me do this. Hurricane categories, millibars. Okay, here we go. So category 1 hurricane typically is going to be millibars that are greater than 980. So 980, alright, so 1000 to, I got a message. My friend asked me when I'm doing the live stream. I'm doing it now. So category 1 hurricane is millibars greater than 980, typically. So this looks like, by millibar standards, it's going to be a tropical storm. Yeah, so 980 is, okay, so 980 is a category 1 greater than 980. Okay, so yeah, as I said, so around 990 to 980 is a category 1 typically. It could go a little lower than 990, maybe 995, but typically 980 and above can be a tropical storm or a category 1 hurricane. With a category 2, that would be 979 millibars to 965 millibars. Category 3, 964 millibars to 945 millibars. Category 4, 944 millibars to 920. And Category 5 would be 920 or less than 920 rather. So in these cases of Carlos, the remnants of Carlos, and so we see here 996, still mostly tropical storm. You see a little bit of a lighter pink over here, which could be Category 1 force winds. But overall tropical storm, which coincides with the millibars being more than 980, more than 990 rather. 980 would be Category 1. Greater than 990 typically is a tropical storm. Greater than 980 would be a Category 1 hurricane, typically. Sometimes, depending on the size of the storm, how wide it is also has an impact. So it could have a really low pressure, but if it's a really wide storm and that pressure is being distributed, then the winds could be weaker around the area. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So tropical storm, getting to the point here, Mozambique Channel going into Mozambique area and the surrounding countries within about a week from now. In about a week, it should all transpire. It should form in about, 4 days. Should form. So we should have a name on this system in about 4 days, maybe 5 days. And it should make landfall in probably a little under a week. Let me see here. Let me check. I'll tell you right now. Oh wait, what am I doing? It's right over here. So by Thursday. So today is Friday, so Thursday. So yeah, in about a week, maybe a little less, 5 to 6 days, we should have a landfall in Mozambique by this system. But most likely, as I said before, in the beginning of the forecast is usually when it's accurate. So in about 4 days, when this first starts to form on Tuesday, that's probably going to be more accurate. There's probably going to be something here. Its exact strength, I'm not going to put too much weight on what it's saying now. Most likely a tropical storm. It could be less than. It could be a tropical depression. But it could be a Category 1 hurricane if it's wrong in the other direction. by Thursday, Wednesday into Thursday and into Friday will be when it's expected to make landfall in Mozambique. Now that's the part that could change, especially 7 days out. The forecast could change to have it going into Madagascar. It could change to having it go further north. It could change to going this way. It could change the entire strength of the system from a tropical storm to a Category 3 hurricane. So we'll have to really watch the system and see how it develops in the coming few days, how the forecast changes on that. But Mozambique, South Africa, if it were to go really further south, these other surrounding countries and Madagascar should probably keep an eye on it just to be safe. Let me see, is anyone in the chat right now? Doesn't look like it. No comments yet. Well, you guys will be able to see it later anyways, if you watch it. The other system that we were looking at was by Australia. This is one again, because it's showing later in these forecasts, this is likely to change. If you've been following my Meteorologist Without Credentials Facebook page, you probably have noticed I've forecast a number of storms for Western Australia, Northwestern Australia, but they just never happened. So this area has a tendency to have forecasted storms that don't pan out, but we don't want to let our guard down and say, well, since it usually does that, I'm not going to get ready this time. If a hurricane is forecasted for your area, or a tropical cyclone, as it's called in this region of the world, be ready for it. Know what your plan is, where your evacuation zones are, and be aware of any family members who may have illnesses, or may be elderly, or perhaps even neighbors who are elderly. You really want to watch out for them as well, because these are people that are usually vulnerable. Even in a weak system like a tropical storm, those are usually the people that are vulnerable. So this is 993 millibars. So this you would expect to be a Category 1 hurricane. But from what I could see here with the wind, with the shades, this is probably more like a tropical storm. But if you look at it, if I compare it to Carlos, this system is significantly larger than Carlos. Carlos was maybe about this big. This wind speed spans out about this big. But more so about wind speed, let's also check what the cloud cover looks like, because that's also has a bearing on it. Okay, so yeah, you can see Carlos barely has any clouds associated with it. And this system definitely has some clouds associated with it. Now let's see with this system. Okay, so here, even though the wind speeds of tropical storm force are only about this big, the pressure is being distributed among this vast system. That's why, even though the pressure is only about 990 millibars, was it? 993? It's only going to be about tropical storm force winds if that holds true. So we still want to keep an eye on it if that changes. So let's see, 995, 993, 995, 994. And then, of course, as it goes inland, hurricanes weaken and they eventually die out. And then it doesn't go past this point. So we have to watch for that area, see if that does, in fact, develop. So the areas to watch: Mozambique, South Africa, surrounding countries, Madagascar, northwestern Australia are currently should watch for the next 1 to 2 weeks. This area for 1 week, this area for 2 weeks. My Siri just turned on while I was saying that. Okay, so the next region to check, the Southwest Pacific. So this is Eastern Australia, New Zealand, along with these islands over here. So let's see now. Go to 00. Let us check the rotation in the atmosphere and see if there's anything over here that warrants us checking out the wind speeds. Okay, so maybe something over here we'll take a look at. Anything else? we could take a look at these two systems. Yeah, actually, yeah. If you saw that at the very end, let's go over here. That I'm definitely going to take a look at to see what that is. So let's go over here and go to the wind speeds. And again, I'm going to use the millibars as an indication to say what general category it would be if it was a tropical cyclone. Again, this will likely change because this is over a week that is being forecasted. So I believe this is that small system we were looking at before. Not really anything to worry about. Again, that could change. Don't take my word for it. If there is a warning out for this area, please follow it. Okay, yeah. So we have this small system here, maybe a small tropical storm or something like that. But I'm really intrigued by this system. So this definitely is a tropical cyclone that is forecasting for about 2 weeks, maybe a little more than 2 weeks. This is 976 millibars. So based off of the UNC.edu website, that should put it at about a Category 2 hurricane. Now what I see here is Category 1 force winds. If I go over here, yeah, so this is a tropical storm, a strong tropical storm, or a Category 1 hurricane. Maybe a mid-range Category 1, depending on how big the system is. But this is why I was saying that the millibars plays a role in it, but also the size of the storm. If you remember these storms from earlier, this storm looks significantly larger than the other ones. This one looks like a giant compared to it. Let's look at the cloud cover on this. That's simulated IR's imagery. So yeah, this one, the pressure is extending from here all the way over here. Even over here, you're not getting strong winds, but that pressure is definitely spreading out within this range. It's feeding into these areas. Possibly over here too, but that's the other small system we're looking at. That probably won't really be much. I'd be much more concerned with this area right over here. So let's go back over here. So if this is correct, East Australia should be on watch, and these areas should be on watch. I'd actually put this whole area on watch for this system in about 2 weeks. Again, this is in about 2 weeks, 384 hours from now. This is very much likely to change. Just for the reason that it's so far off. We know that there's probably going to be something here. Maybe a tropical storm, maybe a hurricane. We don't know what's going to be here, but there's going to be some sort of low pressure here that has the potential to be a strong system. Where it's going to be, even though it's forecasting it for here, I wouldn't rely on that. It could be up here, it could be down here. Oh, excuse me. It could be down here, it could be all the way over here, it could be up here. Anywhere in this region it could be. Because the model is not very accurate this far off in advance. So we have to keep an eye and see, maybe in about a week or so, we'll have a better view as for what this system is actually going to become. As the model becomes more accurate and it more zooms in on the exact details. But I would definitely keep an eye in this area. So we have both sides of Australia need to watch for 2 weeks. Mozambique, South Africa, Madagascar, and surrounding nations should watch for about 1 week. That's pretty much it for this forecast of the tropics. Let's go to... Actually, let's view Australia from both ends of this. So, let's see. So we have this system here, tropical storm, in about 210 hours. Let's see. It's going to start to form around 186 hours, maybe 200 hours from now. We'll have something over here. Maybe a hybrid of a tropical cyclone and a non-tropical cyclone, but nonetheless strong winds along this area from here all the way probably down to here. I'd put, let's see how far it goes. Yeah, so to here and then around this region here. So from here to here should watch out for a tropical cyclone. And then this system I'd watch from here to here and around this whole area. So those are the areas that we need to watch for Australia. And let's see, South America, there's only one recorded tropical cyclone that has happened here. So I don't expect to see anything, but you know what? Let's just check it to be sure. Let's make sure that there is no impending tropical cyclone risk in the coming days. Yep, as expected, no. Not really. Yeah, there was only one forecasted storm, which you could look up if you're interested in weather-related stuff. Is there anyone here now? No. Okay, so I'll save this as a video since no one joined on the live stream. So that way I can post the video link and you guys can watch the forecast if you wish. I mean, if you do wish, you're watching it right now. If not, then you have no idea that this conversation ever happened. Okay, so I think that's about it. I'm gonna exit this. Here again is the wind map. I could show you some details with this. Temperature. So recently, New York area where I live just had a blizzard. Well, snowstorm. Snowstorm. A winter storm. But we could see how these systems work. So this is high pressure. The wind is going out in a clockwise fashion. This is a low pressure. The wind is going inwards in a counterclockwise fashion. Here's another high pressure. But you have the low pressure. It came actually through here and then up through here. Unless it's this one over here. Either way, one of them. But now this is pulling the cold air this way. That's what's making it cold in this region. But over here you have high pressure that's pushing the warm air this way. That's why it's really warm over here, but it's really cold over here. You have high pressure over here pushing this way, which causes the cold air following this area to make these areas a little bit cooler. You see the wind drastically slows down over here, so the cold air is not traveling nearly as fast. You can even see over here, there's a low pressure. It's pulling in the air this way, and that's causing cold air to travel. You have a low pressure over here, which is drawing cold air. And over here, of course, is the ice cap area, the North Pole, where it's really, really cold because it's winter. And it's colder even in the summer too, but perhaps not as cold. So yeah, the water looks too warm right now to support any hurricanes, as the model showed. There really isn't any risk for any hurricanes at this time. Over here, it's the same story, plus there's not really good wind for a hurricane. We have Australia over here. This is the outback, I think. Again, we're going to watch over here. One thing I should note too, in the southern hemisphere, south of the equator, low pressures go in a clockwise fashion, and high pressures go in a counterclockwise fashion, like this one over here. This is in a counterclockwise fashion. That's high pressure because it's pushing out. This is low pressure and it's going in a clockwise fashion. So the way it is over here is opposite to the way it is over here. So that's just an interesting fact. Oh, look, you can see, you can follow this. So low pressure, where it gets sucked up indefinitely. No, it eventually disperses. But, okay, so yeah, that's the forecast. Ooh, this looks really cold. I do not want to be over here. I don't think anyone else wants to either. Yeah, that's Russia, Europe, Canada, Greenland, Iceland, and by the way, you may notice it's really warm down here because it's summer in the southern hemisphere. Over here is the southern ice pack, the Antarctica, South Pole. Let's take a look at Carlos. So yeah, as we saw in the forecast, Carlos is expected to go in this direction. Going to be pulled down by the high pressure. While it's going to be ripped apart from this high pressure, it's going to be pulled down by this one towards this way. You know, in this general direction, push this way and then pull down this way. It's going to reach the colder waters and rapidly weaken. So this system's done. It's not going to impact land any further. It's going to head into this direction where it's going to be ripped apart by the high pressure and killed off by the cold air. So, Tropical Cyclone Carlos is finishing up. Areas to watch is this area in the next week. The next 2 weeks is to watch Australia, west and east, possibly north if the model is off on this one. If it forms further north, that's a possibility. But as of right now, we want to watch this region and this region in 2 weeks. So, with that in mind, I will be finishing up this live stream, and we will see you guys later.